Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Columbia University's MS and Data Science Information Session. We're so glad you'll be able to join us today. My name is Robert Kramer, and I serve as the Associate Director here for Admissions and Academic Affairs here for the MS Data Science program. And I also work closely with our students at every stage of their journey, from basically where they're exploring the program as prospective students, such as you guys, all the way from when they're graduating. And then I connect with Taylor as well with helping with students when it comes to their alumni side as well. Um, Data science, it sits in an intersection of technology, statistics, real world impact, and Columbia's MS Data Science program is designed to prepare students to really thrive within that intersection. This past year, we welcomed more than 200 students from over 30 different countries, creating one of the most diverse and globally engaged graduate cohorts here at Columbia. And we're super stoked to hopefully have continue that momentum going into fall of 2026. Super excited to have you guys all available and ready here today. I did want to let you all know that we are recording the session today. I'll make sure to send out the recording to all students a little bit later. And if for those of you guys who are wondering, I do want to make sure you are aware that for students who are participating in today's session, we will be sending all of the email addresses and contacts to our admissions team, and you should be getting an application waiver for attending today's session as well. Um, I'll go a little bit further. As a Columbia student, you're not only studying at an Ivy League institution with, deep strengths across engineering, research, and applied analytics, but you're doing so in New York City, one of the world's most dynamic hubs for data science, for finance, technology, policy, innovation, etc. The combination really allows our students, I believe, to connect classroom learning directly to industry, to research, to real-world applications. Um, some of you may have attended some of our previous information sessions. Some exciting news is that today you'll hear not just from me or for some of our students, but you'll hear directly from some of our faculty and staff about the academic experience, about the curriculum, and student support within the MS Data Science program as well. We're also joined by one of our current students, Andrea, who she'll be available through the Q&A to answer any questions. So if you have any questions regarding the more student side of things or student experience while we kind of go through this conversation, please feel free to send any questions through the Q&A to Andrea, and she'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Please feel free to submit any questions at the end as well. I'll make sure to stick around for a kind of larger Q&A. So if you have any questions that we don't answer during the actual presentation today, we'll make sure to answer any questions that you have probably around the last 10 minutes or so of the session today. So I do want to make sure here's kind of what we'll be covering today. So we'll have an introduction, kind of talking a little bit about the program, about the university itself, the Data Science Institute, of course, as well, which will be kind of the host of the actual program. And then we'll also go a little bit more about the academic structure, the curriculum, what to expect from faculty, career resources, graduate student life in New York City. And then towards the end, of course, I want to make sure you have some additional information regarding kind of financial aid, tuition, and of course the application itself for those of you that haven't submitted the application yet. I'm hoping to keep it today within an hour, so we should hopefully be done within an hour. I do tend to ramble, so there is an opportunity that we may go a little bit longer. But should you have to drop, I know everyone has busy lives right now, whether you are, in going into your spring semester, finishing up fall, on winter break, on the East Coast or West Coast, wherever you can be. I know people have other obligations, so please feel free to drop if you need to, and we'll make sure to send the recording out as well. So I always like to start with just kind of more of a general, history of the university. So Columbia University was founded in 1754. Columbia University is one of the oldest institutions. It is the oldest institution actually of higher education in New York, and the fifth oldest in the United States. Today, it is recognized globally as a leading research institution with strong commitment to graduate education and discovery. Columbia enrolls more than 36,000 graduate students making up around 70% of our student population. And I think this is a good thing to kind of talk about initially as well. It makes Columbia a very distinct graduate-focused environment. I think one where students are surrounded by like-minded peers engaged in advanced study, research, professional development. For many students, it contributes to a strong sense of community, I think, and a sense of belonging. Unlike some other universities or institutions where, the primary focus can often be on undergraduate or doctoral education, Columbia offers a very robust ecosystem and resources, opportunities, support, etc., all for master's level students. And I do feel like because of that, it makes it feel a little bit like a natural place to grow academically, professionally, and personally, whether you are just finishing your undergraduate or if you're hoping to, if you're already currently working and you're trying to get more of a theoretical and deeper understanding, knowing that the majority of people that you'll meet here and be peers with here are all going to have that strong, solid undergraduate background already. The MS in Data Science itself is housed within the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science, commonly known as Columbia Engineering by most of us. MSDS students are also affiliated with the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences through the Statistics program. This dual affiliation is a defining strength, I believe, of the program, and it truly reflects our kind of interdisciplinary approach here. Launched in 2014, the program was launched in response to a growing demand for highly trained data scientists. The MS in Data Science program brings together faculty from computer science, from statistics, IUR departments, and other related fields, all to create the greatest education for future data scientists and AI experts. Students also have the opportunity to, of course, not just stay within these three realms, but they have the ability to cross-register in schools such as business, journalism, public health, etc. And basically, by the time you graduate, you will not only have a strong technical training, but you'll also have the ability to collaborate across numerous disciplines. So I believe that is truly an essential skill to have in today's AI and data-driven world. So as a Columbia MS and Data Science student, you benefit from strength of two powerhouse organizations here at the university, Columbia Engineering and the Data Science Institute. Columbia Engineering will provide you with the academic foundations of your degree. You'll experience rigorous coursework, professional development workshops, and support from a global alumni network that spans almost every major industry you can think of. The Columbia Engineering name truly, I believe, carries its weight. It opens doors in both industry and in academia, and it basically ensures that your degree is recognized around the world. Furthermore, the Data Science Institute itself, or as we kind of colloquially call it, just the DSI, is Columbia's hub for data science and artificial intelligence. With more than 300 affiliated faculty across all of our 17 schools, DSI basically connects students with interdisciplinary research and industry partnerships in ways that few other institutions can match. It truly serves as a center of gravity for data science here at Columbia and across New York City sometimes, bringing together experts, companies, and students to solve the most pressing challenges of our time. And I believe really what makes our program distinctive is that you benefit from those two levels of support at once. From Columbia Engineering, you gain that academic rigor, the professional development leadership, the credibility, all of the additional faculty support, research opportunities. And then from Data Science Institute, you gain access to research centers, industry affiliates, an interdisciplinary network that spans healthcare, finance, urban analytics, media, and more. The Data Science Institute basically has its arms and legs in numerous different colleges and schools here at Columbia University. So whether you are a data scientist who wants to work with policy or a data scientist who wants to work with health, the DSI truly has a lot of partnerships and collaboration within these different fields. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but for a good example, I think is that we have our Campus Connections program, where basically our students are able to, get a list of different projects available throughout the universities of people and faculty who need students with these specific machine learning, data science related skills. So great opportunities, I think, throughout. We'll talk a little bit about more specific ones later on. But before, I know I talk about these two in depth, but I also want to make sure that you're aware that to top all this off, I believe the location of your graduate degree also very much matters. Studying in New York City places you at the epicenter of opportunity. Just a few subway stops away, you'll find Wall Street and the world of finance, where data science drives everything from trading to fintech innovation. You'll be surrounded by one of the largest healthcare and biotech sectors in the country, anchored by Columbia's very own medical center. The city is also home to, of course, global media and publishing from traditional networks to the latest streaming platforms. If you are interested in politics and policy, they are a part of daily life here from the United Nations and major NGOs based here in Manhattan itself. There's consulting firms downtown as well, from McKinsey to different firms as well, seeking talent who can bring data science expertise to their work. These industries aren't distant possibilities. They can often be a part of daily life here for our students. Internships, research collaborations, networking, professional events are all basically integrated here in your Columbia experience, making, I think, New York one of the leading cities in the world, not just where you live, but also where you are able to launch and start your career. So next up, I do want to introduce Yining. Yining Liu is a lecturer here in the discipline of data science at Columbia University in the computer science department. And she's going to be talking a little bit more about the academics here, about the faculty here. Yining has had background in teaching our capstone last semester, and she's will be teaching our machine learning, one of the most important classes you'll take in the degree, this upcoming semester for students as well. Yining, thank you so much for being here today and talking to our students.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Rob, for the introduction. As Rob said, I am a lecturer in the Department of Computer Science, and I mostly teach classes with DSI. So I'm very happy to be here to talk about the academic rigor of our MS Data Science program, as well as the capstone course that I taught two sections of in the past fall. So for the academics, I believe Rob is going to give you all a more detailed overview of our curriculum in a few minutes. So I'm just going to give a super high level overview of our academics rigor. So our program really emphasizes both the theoretical depth of data science, as well as the real world application of the subject. So the core curriculum would help students to build a super strong foundation in probability, statistics, optimization, and machine learning. In other words, all of the students in our program are expected to have a graduate level understanding that emphasize the mathematical reasoning, modeling choices, and interpretation. So the students would not only know how to use the data science tools, they also have a deep understanding of the why behind all of the data science tools that were widely used. And to complement the theoretical depth, our program also has a wide range of applied coursework that mirrors real-world and research-driven data science workflows. So I think that really equip our students to both have the theoretical understanding as well as knowing how to actually apply those theoretical tools in a real-world setting. And another area that I really want to highlight is our faculty at Columbia Engineering. So I think what makes our program really special is we have a super strong group of faculty members that I'm very proud to be a part of. All of our courses are taught by active researchers and industry practitioners. And for the faculty population in particular, we bring perspectives from academia, industry, and interdisciplinary research. So if you're interested in knowing about our large number of faculty, I think we have on our website, you can see a list of faculty. You can see that the faculty has background in the theoretical subjects like theoretical stats, theoretical machine learning, applied math. But we also have faculty who are more interdisciplinary as well as have a stronger industry experience. And then if you're in our program, you get the opportunity to closely interact with the faculty. All of our faculty would hold office hours and recitation sections, and then you would also get a chance to interact with the not only the faculty at the Data Science Institute, as well as the faculty across Columbia through the capstone mentorship. And next, I'm going to talk about the capstone experience, which I think is one of the highlight of our program. So this course is a semester-long team-based applied project serving as the capstone's culminating experience. So in other words, almost all of our students take this class in their last semester of the program. So the capstone would give everyone an opportunity to apply what they learned in their courseworks to solve problems that are from the real world. And then, so about the projects themselves, the projects include both the industry-sponsored work as well as the faculty-led academic research. And for the industry partners that we work with, they really come from a wide range of sectors. So, for example, we have work with companies in finance, healthcare, tech, and public sector. So, depending on where you want to work after the program, you will likely find a project that excites you. And to just give you a sense of the type of project the student work with, for our fall 2025 project, one of the industry project was the student work with the company called TD Bank to analyze the brand the how the public views the brand. So in particular, the students gathered the data on how the public discuss the brand from different platforms, and the students use the natural language processing techniques to compute a sentiment score. In other words, this score would measure whether the general public discuss the company in a positive perspective or more in a negative perspective. And knowing this score would help the company knows how the public views the company, and that will bring a lot of insight on how the company is doing in general. So it was really impressive that at the end of the semester, the student not only gathered up the data set themselves, they used data scraping techniques to gather a lot of data from a wide range of internet sources. And then they built a pipeline to calculate the sentiment score. So they use data analysis technique to extract the information from the data set in order to know whether the public views the company as positive or negative. And then they also built a live dashboard that can update this score like multiple times per day, so that the company can know how the sentiment changes, like basically live. And then the student actually built this as like an end product, so it has a nice user interface, and the company is trying to use the product for their internal usage. So yeah, so it has a real world impact. And then if you are more interested in the faculty-led academic research, one of our faculty-led research from the past fall was the students work with faculty from like analyzing animal behavior. So the project was the faculty collected a lot of video data set about like fish. And then the goal is to classify whether the fish in the video has aggressive behavior or not. So you could do that using just hire a bunch of graduate students to analyze the videos for you, but that's very time consuming and is also very expensive. So the faculty work with our data science students to have built a machine learning model to analyze the video data in order to automatically classify whether the fish in the videos are aggressive or not. And then, if you are interested in academia at the academic route, there's also a nice like collaborate there's also a nice interplay of our industry project with the academia side of things. So a few of our industry project actually led to paper submission ready work. Yeah, and then a few of our teams are collaborating with their mentor to actually submit their work to a conference. And then, yeah, so just to summarize, the capstone projects are not only just a coursework project. Most of those projects actually led to like real world applications. Either that means either it's actually used for the companies, or it's leading to some academic publications at the end. And then the goal for the capstone is that for students to tackle data sets and open-ended questions so that they can help them to reflect the real-world data science practice. And then in terms of the structure of this course, the students would meet with their mentors weekly. So that means this is not a hands-off experience. You will get a lot of mentorship from our great industry and faculty mentors. And in addition, we will also invite guest lecturers on related topics. For example, for in the fall, we had a guest lecture to talk about project management skills, which will be very important for you all as data scientists. And then we also had a guest lecturer to talk about AI ethics. And then at the end of the semester, we usually have a poster session that will be a showcase to connect students with faculty, industry, alumni, and peers. And we got a lot of positive feedback last semester when the students got a chance to showcase their work to a wide audience.
Thank you so much, Yanning, for telling students a little bit about the academics and the kind of faculty expectations here at Columbia Engineering. Um, the post session is such a fun experience that I got to like help Yinning and the course with seeing all of our students before they graduate talk about all these projects and all these opportunities is such an exciting part, I think, of the student affairs team for our work to see like all these students within a year and a half completely transition to how they think about these skill sets, the skill set they've learned, and applying them from fish to fraud detection, etc. It's an awesome time to see. But thank you for being here and talking to our students. Before we go to our next week, I do want to dive just really quickly into the curriculum as well, um, and letting you know kind of where the capstone falls into place. So the MS Data Science program itself is a 30 credit program. It's made out of 21 kind of required electives or required credits and about 9 credits that are going to be towards your electives. The curriculum is carefully designed to balance both theory and hands-on practice, giving students both strong foundation and the flexibility to specialize. So most full-time students do complete the program in about a year and a half or 3 semesters, while we do have a smaller group of part-time students as well, finishing the program in about 4 to 5 semesters or roughly 2.5 years. So we have courses that will be on the more theoretical side, like machine learning and algorithms, which ground you more into the mathematical and computational principles that drive the field and help make you understand not just how to apply models, but also how and why they work. And then on the more applied side, we have courses such as EDAF or Exploratory Data Analysis and Visualization, which allow you to delve more into practical skills of uncovering insights and communicating them effectively. Well, we also have Computer Systems for Data Science, which prepares you to handle more large-scale real-world data sets as well. Courses are taught by faculty from Columbia's, again, statistics, computer science, and IR programs. That makes sure that you are working with true subject matter experts and bringing both these academic expertise and industry knowledge together. I want to point out as well that we recognize that many students may arrive with strong background in these specific courses already. To ensure you're not repeating any material that you've already mastered, the program does allow students to waive or test out of certain core classes to make the degree a little bit more flexible for you and for allowing you to maybe specialize in certain other fields. So if you have a full, let's say, statistics bachelor's degree already, you may be able to sit for an exam before the program starts for this problem stats based course, waive out of it, and hopefully maybe take an elective in its place. And regarding electives, we do have, the opportunity for you to really shape your program here to make sure you're specialized in whatever you're hoping to be specialized in. We have really popular electives such as applied machine learning, deep learning. We're offering an NLP-based class this semester, causal inference, finance and data science, computer vision sometimes is offered as well. And these courses really allow you to really expand on the skill sets that you're already learning within these core classes. And I think what really makes our electives really unique is the caliber of the faculty teaching them. In addition to Columbia's full-time professors, we have an outstanding group of adjunct faculty who are practicing data scientists and senior leaders at some of the world's top companies. I think the last 2 semesters, we had adjunct faculty who are working with Etsy, JP Morgan, Google, AWS, Barclays, Goldman Sachs, Johnson Johnson, just to name a few. They bring in the real world experience directly into the classroom, showing you not only the theory, but also how these methods are currently being applied right now to in the industry, which is, I believe, such an important aspect to know when you are learning all this, how it's shaping the field right now when it's in a field that's changing and adapting so quickly. Um, And of course, these are just our electives. Currently, we are changing our electives, from year to year to make sure that we're keeping up with what the market is looking for. But at the same time, you are also encouraged to take advantage of Columbia's interdisciplinary ecosystem here that we've created, and being able to cross-register out of data science. So many of our students do take electives possibly with the business school, exploring courses like analytics or entrepreneurship, with the School of Journalism, applying data science to storytelling and investigative reporting, with the medical center, possibly working with the biomedical or health informatics teams. This interdisciplinary approach mirrors the reality of the profession, which is that data science doesn't exist in isolation, but in partnership with truly every major domain. So that's a little bit more about the curriculum. I just wanted to cover it real quick. There's a lot of information you can find on our website as well. But of course, I'm always here available. If you have any questions about the curriculum, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I'm happy to explore further with you or talking about waivers or next steps. But next, I know that many of you guys are also interested in completing research during your studies here at Columbia. So I'm excited to introduce you all to Susan McGregor, who is a research scholar here at Columbia University's Data Science Institute. Susan co-chairs the Center for Data, Media, and Society, and she also leads the DSI Scholars Program here at DSI, which provides MS students with really truly meaningful opportunities to engage in applied real-world research alongside faculty. Susan, thank you so much for joining us today and speaking with our prospective students to share a little bit of the insights of current research happenings and scholars, etc. Feel free to take the floor.
Thank you so much. Sorry, can everyone hear me? All
Perfect.
set? Okay. Great. If you could advance the slide. Sorry, I don't think I have access. My apologies. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to spend a few minutes today with you and give you kind of an overview of the research opportunities that are part of the MSDS program here at Columbia. We have a variety of ways that students can get involved in research, specifically faculty-led research. So there's obviously some overlap between, there's a lot of different ways to do that. You've already heard about things like the capstone projects. And other ways in which research is, can be integrated into the program. Today, I'm going to talk about a sort of another handful of methods. And I'm specifically going to focus on the DSI Scholars Program, which, as Robert mentioned, I am leading up. So one of our kind of great opportunities is DSI Campus Connections. And this is where really we offer this as a resource for both faculty and students as a way to identify potentially interesting research opportunities. So I know in the chat, some of you were asking about specific kinds of disciplinary partnerships, doing research and partnering with faculty in specific subject areas. What we know, and one of the reasons for the existence of the Data Science Institute and our program, of course, is that, as Robert said, data science is everywhere. And as a result, we get interest from faculty all across the university who have projects where they are looking for students who have data science experience and skills that they can bring to their subject matter. And so that's a really great opportunity where that's just sort of an open platform. You can go there and apply for, and basically connect directly with faculty to see what kinds of opportunities they have available. I'm going to skip over the Scholars Program now because I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about that in just a minute. The DSI Research Center. So I am the co-chair of one of our research centers. We have a fair number of them that focus on areas like foundations of data science. I co-chair the Center for Data, Media, and Society. We have cybersecurity. There's a whole great range of topics. That's information that's you can find on the website to get a sense of kind of what those centers are and the faculty who are leading them. But these research centers sort of represent groups of affiliated faculty from across the university, often who have a shared interest in how data science can be applied to big idea kind of topics and fields. And so there are often times when they have research opportunities available. Reaching out to the chairs can be a good way to identify potential research opportunities. Chances to kind of RA or TA, things like that. And similarly, reaching out to engineering faculty. There is an engineering research fair that happens, I believe, twice a year that you are definitely welcome to attend. And that can be another great way to kind of get in touch with engineering faculty who may have specific projects where they can use the kinds of skills that you may have brought with you to the program or that you've been honing in your courses. And the DSI Scholars Program, again, which I sort of lead right now, is is a little bit more involved in the sense that it's really a matchmaking opportunity that we pair with. It's a research matchmaking opportunity that we also pair with additional special opportunities, events, for those scholars. So this is in a way, it's kind of our prestige research program, matching opportunities. So this is just a selection of a handful of projects. We had about a dozen projects this fall that we supported. So this is an application-based process. We solicit applications. We solicit faculty to submit projects that they're interested in having DS data science researchers join. There is a screening process both for faculty projects and for students. So we make a really substantial effort to ensure that these are high quality projects, that they're in scope, that it's going to be a high quality mentoring experience for student researchers. We also try to prioritize opportunities for publication, so that you can get publication credit on these. And then throughout the semester, in addition to doing these are 10-hour-a-week commitments, roughly, and they are compensated, of course. We have interest from faculty across the university. We've been seeing a lot of interest from the medical center recently. So we do have people doing a lot of really exciting work. I'll briefly talk about some of these projects in a moment. But just to say that in addition to the actual research experience and all of the mentorship and wonderful exposure that comes with that, we also have supplementary programming just for DSI scholars. So this fall, for example, the DSI scholars joined a site visit to the Bloomberg offices. We also had a really excellent guest speaker who came and gave a large lecture at campus, but our DSI scholars were able to have a one-on-one discussion, just sort of like the dozen of them with that speaker later on in the day. So we do try to make sure that this is an opportunity that really is both well-rounded and offers kind of additional mentorship and networking and learning opportunities. So really briefly, just to give you a sense of kind of the range, as I mentioned, we have seen a lot of projects, a lot of interest from the medical center and working with our students recently. So the first project that you see here is actually in partnership with someone from the climate school. And this was basically taking messy, localized data and trying to use it to create a better way to identify when food insecurity incidents were likely to emerge around the world. This was something that was presented, among others, to the World Bank, and there's been interest in kind of building on this system there. The healthcare professionals are concerned. This is building on a tool that's available to healthcare professionals, and very little is known about how they use this. So this actually is an app that shows indicators of patients who are currently in care, but how clinicians respond to those notifications was not very well documented. And so this was an excellent analysis, kind of understanding how those notifications may actually be impacting the care that folks are directly receiving at the hospital. The blood pressure thresholds for hospitalized children. This project looked at basically a kind of a really important data gap, where a lot of the question about what sort of target blood pressure thresholds should be for hospitalized children had been largely based on outpatient data. And so the understanding here was that actually the target thresholds needed to be a little bit different when dealing with a hospitalized population. So really trying to improve the accuracy of that understanding. Also, and this really made an impression on me, the way that the blood pressure, it also did a sort of a comparative analysis of different methods of measuring blood pressure, some of which are less invasive, and found that actually the less invasive methods, sorry, I don't want to present this as research findings, but the initial indications were that some of those less invasive methods showed promise for actually preserving that accuracy, right? Which, if you're ever somebody who's been in that situation, obviously less invasive methods are always preferable, especially if they can yield sort of similar quality and accuracy. And similarly, this was another pediatric focused project, which looked at how different kinds of bone growth differed across age ranges for children with different kind of treatment conditions. So what we see here is a lot of big, complex data. As you can imagine, this is also really sensitive data. And so it's a really, really, really unique opportunity to be able to work with this kind of content and also be addressing, the kinds of questions that are having a direct impact on people's lives. So obviously, I'm a big proponent of the DSI Scholars Program. I definitely encourage all of you to look into it. We do accept applicants, student applicants across semesters. So you can apply for your first semester if you like. And there is a little bit more information on the website. Our round of applications for the fall will be opening kind of later in the spring. So definitely would love to have you all check it out. And hopefully see your participation in the future.
Thanks so much, Susan. Appreciate it for talking about the research in general and also DSI Scholars, of course. For those of you who will hopefully be admitted into the program, definitely apply to this program. I don't know how many projects get, filtered to Susan, but she does pick great projects, I will say. We get to sometimes sit in on some of the final presentations, and it's always like, just like I said, whether it's the capstone or whether it's scholars or whatever the case may be, it's so always exciting to see like these students going through these similar classes, but being able to apply their skills in such drastically different fields and different ways and different projects. So thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it. Um, Now, I know that some of you guys may be interested in attending the MS Data Science program as a stepping stone for possibly maybe a PhD program, etc. However, I know that most of you will likely want to enter the workforce or pivot to maybe a different managerial role, etc. After completing this program. So next, I would like to introduce you all to Jackie Cashel. She is DSI's Assistant Director of Career Services and the dedicated career advisor for most of our, or all of our MS and Data Science students. She works closely with students in our program to prepare them for internships, full-time roles, etc., by building job-ready skills, clarifying career goals, connecting with employers. She does it almost all when it comes to the professional side of things. And then Jackie brings both experience, of course, from higher education, New York City startups, and ensuring that students are well positioned to succeed in today's data-driven job market. Thank you so much, Jackie, for being here today. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, hello everyone. It's great to see you all here. Thanks for your attendance and engagement. I want to spend a few minutes highlighting the career support available to students at DSI and talk a little bit more about how we help you translate your skills into real-world opportunities. So from the moment you join the program, you will have access to one-on-one career advising. This includes personalized support around career exploration, resume and cover letter building, interview prep, as well as more long-term career strategizing. I also offer weekly office hours, so that makes it easier for students to get more timely guidance and ask questions as you move throughout your time at DSI. In addition, we host regular career workshops and info sessions throughout the year. These sessions cover topics such as how to launch your job search and internship search, how to navigate that job market, to how to prepare for technical and behavioral mock interviews, interviews. We host mock interview sessions to help you prepare for those, salary negotiation and benefits workshops, among other topics. Students also receive a weekly newsletter, career focused, that helps you stay informed about upcoming events and new opportunities. We offer data science specific resources as well as those you'll have access to through the School of Engineering. So that puts you in a really wonderful spot. You just have double the resources. In terms of the data science specific ones, we have an internal job board for students. We have premium interview resources and tools online. So you have 24/7 access and support if you're preparing for an interview last minute or late at night. We have resume and cover letter templates, among others, just so you're feeling super prepared. These resources also allow us to support you whether you're an early career professional, you're coming straight from your undergraduate degree, or perhaps you're more seasoned and you've already been in industry for a little bit and you're just transitioning into a slightly different field. In terms of employer and industry engagement, we also offer larger career engagement opportunities and events. These include career fairs and employer informational sessions, both on campus and online. They include industry panel discussions, networking events with professionals and alumni in industry, as well as company site visits within the surrounding areas of the city. These experiences allow all of our students to learn directly from data scientists actually working in the field, explore different career paths you might be interested in, and begin building professional relationships and connections and skills while you're still in the program before you go out into the real world. All right. So, in terms of our alumni network, you'll see here at the very bottom of this slide, we have about 1,700 and counting and growing alumni in New York City, across the US, really across the world. We are growing. Many of these alums stay actively engaged with the program. They regularly return to campus to participate in networking events, panel discussions, those mock interview preparation sessions I referenced before, and they really help provide our students with valuable insights and connections across industries. This next slide, not sure if you all can still see the slideshow, but I will keep going just because the content is the same as the slides. On the next slide, which we can share with you after, you'll see top areas of interest, and I can also just share them with you. In terms of within the data science field, our students are typically most interested in technology, financial services in general, healthcare, consulting, and more. You can also hear and learn a little bit more about some of the companies our students have gone on to work for. I think a question came in through the Q&A about what are some top sample companies. Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Barclays, TD Bank, CVS Health. However, it doesn't stop there. We have opportunities for everyone, regardless of what you might be interested in. Yes, those are big names. It's exciting. A lot of people are interested in those. But say you might be interested in a smaller company or a startup. We really work with employer partners to bring in a wide variety of employers, whether it be a small company, whether they be in New York City or the West Coast, and just provide that opportunity and exposure so you can figure out what it is you truly want to do. Um, so that said, I will lastly mention some salary range averages. I know that's always a common question, an exciting question. The average salary range for DSI graduates within the past few years has fallen between about 110 and 150K, depending on the role. This also depends on the industry as well as your prior experience. That's why you may see such a wider range. But ultimately, overall, our goal is really to provide students with guidance, resources, and connections you need to help you feel prepared, help you feel informed, making your career decisions moving forward, and prepare you for postgraduate life. I believe next up we will have Taylor to talk a little bit more about the student experience. So perfect. She has the screen back up. Thank you all for your patience and bearing with us here. But once she's ready, I will pass it over to my colleague Taylor to talk a little bit about student and alumni engagement. Feel free to continue to put any questions you may have in the chat. Okay, great. Here is that slide about some of those career outcomes, and I see some questions in the chat that I will address right after this, but just for the sake of time, I'll pass it over to Taylor. Thank you all.
Hi, all. Sorry about that. Rob actually may be back, so we may be able to pass it over. But I just want to leave up this slide just for another second for you guys to see visually what Jackie was just talking about. And don't worry, we'll make sure you guys get all of the slides as Jackie said. Just want to pause for a moment to see if Rob happens to be back and if he does want to swap over. And if not, I will go ahead with the rest of the slides. Okay. Okay, awesome. So Sounds good. All right, so we'll continue on. Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for your patience today and also for your time. We know we have a lot of information for you all, but we feel like it should be really beneficial. So, my name is Taylor Reyes, and I'm the Student and Alumni Engagement Coordinator at the Data Science Institute. I work closely with our current students and also alumni for social events. I work closely with our student council and also some professional development events. So, I will be talking to you guys just for a little bit about some graduate student life. So one of the things that students and alumni consistently tell us that they value most about the MS in Data Science program is that sense of community. And truly, as staff, it is one of my favorite parts of the job. And it really all begins with orientation week, or sometimes even some of you guys may see Admitted Students Day in April. So orientation week is designed to help students to get to know one another, connect with staff, feel grounded before classes begin, and we jump right in and add a bunch of social and professional events. Things like bar nights, LinkedIn headshot days, museum trips, and resource fairs. And all of these events are available exclusively for our data science students. And then as the year begins, DSI itself hosts a wide range of events. So we have study break breakfast in the suite, off-campus bar nights, alumni mixers, Yankees games, end of the year celebration. And as a master's in data science students, how you heard from Jackie regarding the career events, you're also invited to events both from the Data Science Institute and the School of Engineering on that social side as well. So what that means is there are a lot of opportunities to get involved socially and professionally at Columbia. Some popular School of Engineering events include the Carleton Commons Social, the Engineering Graduate Student Council boat cruises, and trips to Broadway shows. And besides all of these events, what we feel like really brings our data science students together that much quicker is our Data Science Institute Lounge. And this is a dedicated space just for our data science students, and it naturally becomes a place to study, collaborate, and build friendships. And on any given day, you'll see students doing work on the whiteboards that we have, meeting with our professors for office hours, chatting with our team, or just relaxing and hanging out with friends. So it's really exciting for us as staff to see firsthand how classmates and acquaintances at orientation become lifelong friends during all of those alumni events that we continue to have. So across Columbia in general, there are over 500 student organizations, and that means there are thousands of events per year. So there's a lot of ways to find your people and your group. There are different clubs based on sports, religion, culture, career interests, and more. And within data science specifically, we have our DSI Student Council. And this group focuses on advocating for our data science students specifically and planning even more social professional development events throughout the year. So they go above and beyond what Jackie offers, what I offer, what Rob offers. So there's really a lot of opportunities. Some of the events that they offer are de-stress events, the Halloween social, the winter celebration, SQL and Excel workshops, Jeopardy to prep for exams, and they also have an Instagram page where they post fun videos, interviews with alumni, and also interview prep tips. And beyond what's on campus, there's New York City itself. So that adds so much to the graduate experience. Whether you're interested in finance, healthcare, media, startups, the opportunities are right outside your door, right? Rob mentioned it, Jackie mentioned it, and it really is so true. And beyond academics and career, there's food, culture, and just that energy of being in New York City with millions of people. I mean, that's the best place to be for your graduate years. So what's also great is the community doesn't stop at graduation, right? We've all hinted at it, but we have alumni that are staying super engaged through our alumni LinkedIn group, alumni mixers, different engagement events with current students as well, and just attending professional development events for themselves with different DSI speakers. So don't hesitate to pop any questions you may have into the chat, and I'm happy to answer any. And also our recent graduate, Andrea, will also be able to answer any of your questions about graduate student life, DSI community, and life in New York City.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Apologies for dropping off there. I have got a new laptop, and it turns out technology is not as dependable as we thought. But Taylor, thank you so much. It is crazy to see how close our and connected our students are once they graduate, whether they are full-time or part-time, our students provide such a um, we have such great opportunities for them to connect with their peers, explore New York City, etc. We know that, it is definitely a work hard, play hard situation, hopefully, where, we know that the degree itself, everything else, all the resources, there's a lot going on here at the university. And the nice thing is you will always have Taylor, Jackie, and myself here to help you navigate everything. A lot of times when I talk to students who are undergraduates currently, or maybe have taken their completed undergraduate a few years ago, a lot of them say like I didn't take enough advantage of the resources my university's offered, and I don't think that'll be the case here. We always make sure that students are well informed, well aware, and we even sometimes will call students out when we see them not utilizing the resources of like, where were you? What was, this was a great opportunity. You let us know you were interested in healthcare. There's great healthcare companies coming in. You should definitely go. So there's a great community here, great involvement, and I think the power of a cohort truly stays true here from when you are a student, helping each other out through classes, exploring New York, etc. But also when you work with Taylor later on and as an alumni base, I think a lot of those connections are going to be vital when it comes to, exploring different opportunities, new alumni opportunities as well. We still have alumni posting on LinkedIn for different opportunities that they have at their company, etc. But no. Before we go and open up the short Q&A, I did want to cover some additional application information for those of you who are still working on submitting your application. First thing I always want to let students know that we welcome applicants from a range of different disciplines. A lot of times students will reach out and say like, hey, I'm not your computer science or your statistics specific major or data science specific major. I have more of a major in possibly economics, physics, social sciences, business, finance, whatever the case may be. And I think that's okay. It's a very interdisciplinary field. We know students want to do completely different things when they leave this program, which due to that, we know that a lot of students who want to learn data science and apply these skills also are coming from a broad range of different undergrads, different work disciplines, etc. But we do want to make sure that you have the proper quantitative preparation needed for this degree to make sure that you're doing well. Sorry. Okay, I thought that was my screen. Thank you, Taylor. So in order basically to make sure that you actually are, going to be pretty good at the program and have the required skills, we want to make sure that you have some background in calculus, in linear algebra, and possibly statistics or probability and statistics as well. Those are going to be kind of root requirements for our program. When you start your program here within algorithms or within machine learning or whatever course it may be or problem stats, the faculty will maybe take a week or a couple of days to spend on, reassessing or reviewing some of those older materials. But within week 2, the train has left the station and you are a graduate student as a master's program. And we want to make sure that you're getting deeper and more theoretical understanding of these concepts. Of course, another big thing for our program is a lot of the programming will be in Python, some of it in SQL or possibly R when it's statistics. But Python really is the main programming language for our program. So you don't need to have proper academic background in Python, but we highly recommend students who don't have that proper background to really spend some time once admitted or during these next months, really kind of grasping Python-based skill sets. The application itself is going to be very straightforward. I believe some of you may be, applying to other universities as well, so we'll have very similar requirements. We require your transcripts from your undergraduate or previous, coursework, 3 recommendation letters. For students who have maybe been out of their academics for a little while, please note not all of your recommendations have to be academic. I always let students know if you have been working professionally or have some really strong managers or professional references that from internships or full-time work or part-time work, it's completely okay to have more professional-based recommendation letters as well. I always tell students it's best to get recommendations from people who can really attest to your skill set that are going to be applicable to this program. Of course, on top of that, there will be a resume, personal statement, English proficiency scores, if applicable, if you're an international student. I do want to highlight that GRE scores this semester are going to be entirely optional. You are more than welcome to submit your GRE scores, but you're not going to be required to. That's something I want to highlight. And then the deadlines you can see here on the left-hand side, there will be the priority deadline on January 15th, so coming up next week, but there'll also be the final deadline on February 15th. So you have another 5 weeks or so to submit additional materials, adjust your application if needed, etc. Now, I do want to note that for those of you who attended the session today, and we might have gotten some questions already in the chat, but DSI is granting an application fee waiver for those attending the session. I will be sending a list of students who attended this session live today to our admissions team, and I'm hoping that within the next day or two, they'll be able to adjust your application to waive the application fee. Please give the admissions team, I would say, at least until kind of Friday to be able to apply it to your application. You unfortunately won't see it today or tomorrow, most likely, just because it's a busier time of year. But please be aware that if you did attend the session today, that'll be waived. And then I also want to do just a quick shout out to our MS Express students who are applying. If you are a Columbia senior or a recent alumni from any of the approved majors, you are able to use the MS Express application to apply to our program through a simplified process at a later deadline. If you're a current undergraduate or recent alumni at Columbia University, at Barnard, or Columbia College, please feel free to reach out to me. I have an email at the end of this presentation, and we'll be able to provide you any additional information if you have any questions as well. Thank you so much. And then just before we open up the Q&A, sorry, I always forget about this little slide, but it's an important one. For 2026, I want to talk a little bit about the tuition expectations. So for this past year, for the fall 2025, spring 2026 year, tuition was at about $2,700 per credit, or roughly around $81,000 for the full program for the tuition. Fees, health insurance, and other smaller fees are going to be additional. But please note that the tuition rates for the upcoming year are likely to change. They will normally finalize it in about June, and we expect normally tuition to rise at about 2, possibly 3% historically. So that'll most likely bring it up to around $2,800 or so per credit. I put here on this slide deck, and we'll make sure to share the slide deck with you, our MS program cost estimator. And I think that's a very useful link. Of course, take everything on that cost estimator with a grain of salt. As we talked about a little bit earlier, your program is normally going to be 3 semesters if you're full-time. The first 2 semesters are going to be full-time, 4 credits each semester, or 4 classes each semester. Your last semester here, your 3rd semester, you will normally only be taking 2 classes, or about 6 credits, which will be your capstone and normally your last elective class. So the cost estimator will show you kind of the cost for 1 full academic year, but please note that that 3rd semester should be much cheaper. So don't go into the cost estimator and times it by 2. You'll get some astronomical figure. And also remember, in the cost estimator, these are very generalized figures. So some students are able to waive the health insurance. Some students are able to find cheaper housing or boarding. We do have some scholarships available for students here upon admission. You'll be considered for the Dean's Fellowship and some other possible scholarship opportunities. I do always recommend students, while you are applying to different schools right now, there are always going to be a limited amount of scholarships available at the master's level program. So please, as you are applying to programs, I highly recommend spending some time also looking at, external funding as well, whether that is through larger programs like the Fulbright Scholarship, or through other federal-based programs, or through smaller organizations and nonprofits as well. There are a lot of different scholarships out there, especially for STEM, AI, data science related opportunities. So definitely take some time, look through those. In addition to the few select scholarships that we have upon admission, a lot of our students also work part-time. They are able to maybe get compensation through research work that they're doing through Campus Connections, get stipends through like DSI Scholars, or working with different faculty. They also, often students will work as teaching assistants or course assistants, kind of as a part-time role, etc. There's a lot of ways that you might be able to find opportunities here on campus to help offset some of the tuition and fees. I'm not aware of any scholarships or any compensation that would help offset the full tuition and fees. I do want to make sure students are aware of that. But there are some ways that you might be able to help offset some of it. And in addition, of course, the hope is that after your 2nd semester in the summer, you would be able to hopefully find an internship as well to be able to get some stronger compensation in for your summer work. And then, of course, please remember, whether you're an international student or domestic student, your last semester, you are also welcome to continue that internship part-time if you need to, as some students do, to bring up some additional compensation in that way. So there are definitely some different opportunities for you to help offset some of the costs of the program through scholarships, through research, through on-campus or off-campus work. If you have or have any questions about these opportunities, please feel free to reach out at any point. But I just wanted to kind of cover it before we go into our Q&A session. But I think if someone can go to the next slide. Thank you so much. I think that'll be it for today. That is kind of our full presentation. I want to thank again everyone who has been able to make it today. Thank you so much to Susan, Yinning, Jackie, and Taylor for speaking. I know when it comes to your master's degree and figuring out your right program and your right fit, there's a lot that comes to it. There's a lot of questions involved, a lot of opportunities, a lot of different facts and factors. So I'm hoping this session was able to give you a little bit of an understanding of the most important things, which is the academics, the research, and the professional opportunities while you are here. And of course, the actual vibe of what it is to be a Columbia Master's data science student. Here you see a bunch of pictures from our actual students. These aren't just like stock images. These are all our actual students and previous alumni. So we always like to showcase that of the kind of what it feels like to be a student here, whether it's, career fairs, reached opportunities, social events, exploring New York, alumni engagement, socials, etc. But I'm hoping you guys were able to get some good information when it comes to the program. Again, the early application deadline is next week on the 15th, and then our final deadline will be on February 15th, so you'd still have some time to get those requirements in. I also want to say that there is a little bit of a grace period when it comes to the application. If you're able to submit everything, but possibly maybe one recommendation still outstanding, or maybe your TOEFL scores are outstanding for a couple more days, we always give a grace period of about 6 or 7 days after each deadline for you to still be able to consider it for that deadline. But I'll open the floor. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to cover those. Thank you guys all again for joining today, whether you are on the East Coast or on the West Coast or anywhere else in the world. Thank you for taking the time. I'm happy we're able to keep it at around an hour, but I know that again, we try to squeeze as much information we can in an hour, but there's still so many questions that might still be there. Always please feel free to reach out to make an appointment with me, with Andrea, reach out to our email, anything like that, and we'll be able to hopefully give you some specific advice if needed. Thank you guys so much. I'll stop the recording, but I'll make sure to hang out here a little bit longer for the Q&A. Thank you again to all of our speakers. I really appreciate the time you took today.